The girl shivered and pulled her cloak more tightly around her. It was a cold night, and her breath was misty on the still air. She crept into the square and flattened herself against the wall, listening for anything that might mean a problem. Maybe the bark of a dog, or the distant tramp of a guardian patrol. There was nothing, just the bell in the tower of the ceremonium, marking the hour. She scanned the buildings. All were in darkness. They were the simple homes of small merchants, tidy and respectable, just the sorts of places that she'd been told to target. She remembered the instruction. Leave the big houses at the top of the hill. They've all got high walls and guards. Go for the ones in the middle town, like you've been shown. Plenty of good stuff there. She'd entered the city with a boy. All the gates had been locked at dusk, as they were every day. They would not open again until dawn, but there were other ways in. Tunnels and passages built over the years, forgotten by almost everyone. She and the boy had been taken by a man they called Scorpion to a spot where the river passed under the city ramparts, emerging through a passage foul with sewage. It was so cramped that even though both the children were small, they were only just able to squeeze through. "Get in there," Scorpion growled, pointing to the rank opening with his whip. "When you get through, split up." There was no need to say that. They knew from their previous raids that there was a better chance of avoiding the Guardians if they were on their own. The man bent down and stroked the girl's hair. "Bring me something good," he purred. "You know what I like." She did. She was his best snatcher, a fast worker who always came back with a worthwhile catch. The girl understood. She knew that to return empty-handed, or even with something Scorpion judged to be of insufficient worth, would make him angry. And those who made him angry were beaten. And if he was in a bad mood, they might even be put in the pit. Alone, in the cold of the night, the girl shuddered. She had got wet in the stream, and she was now paying the price in the freezing dark. She blew on her hands to try to get some warmth into them. She wondered about the boy. How was he getting on? She slid along the edge of one of the buildings, silent and smooth as a shadow, looking for a weakness. There were none. The people who lived here had been robbed enough times to be careful, and everything was locked and barred. Then she spotted something. A single chink in the armour of the blank wall. It was above her head, a window where the wooden casement had warped and no longer closed properly against the frame. It was the merest crack, but that would be enough. She'd done it before. Jump, grip, reach in, spring the catch, wriggle through, and then on the other side she would drop lightly to the floor and wait until she was sure all was clear. Then she would quickly grab whatever caught her eye and be out before anyone knew. It would be easier if the boy was with her, because she could climb on his back to help her get in. She was glancing around to see if there was something she could drag to the wall to scramble onto, when she heard a sound behind her, a faint metallic whisper, like the blade being drawn from its sheath. She froze. It wasn't the Guardians. They made much more noise than that. She peered into the dark. Nothing. She backed into a fold in the wall, crouching to make herself small. Not small enough. Suddenly they were on her, 5 of them, each from a different direction. She made to run, but every way was barred. One grabbed her hair, another her arm. She opened her mouth, but her scream was cut off as the point of a knife speared her windpipe. Her knees folded, and she sank to the ground, clutching her throat. Her eyes bulged with the horror of what was happening to her. Her attackers made a circle around her, watching the swelling pool of blood, listening to the gurgle of her life ebbing away. Her bladder released. She convulsed, twitched. Her chest gave one final heave, and it was over. She was still. Their leader poked her with his foot, his nose wrinkled in disgust. "Ugh, she stinks like she's been swimming in the sewer." "She probably has," said one of the others. "That's what the settlement rats do." The group's leader took out a large hunting knife, a zerker, and stooped. With a swift hack, he removed the little finger from her left hand. Then he wet it in her blood and drew on her forehead a symbol, the letter R. He took a rag from his waist pouch, wrapped the tiny finger in it, and tucked it away. Finally, he wiped his blade on her smock, sheathed it, stood up, and looked at his companions. "Well done," he whispered. "That's another of the vermin gone." One more for the rat catchers, murmured the young man at his side. We must be well ahead now. At this rate we'll soon run out of rats to catch, said one of the others. There'll be none of them left. The rest of the group laughed. In one of the shadows a light appeared. Shh! Split up, whispered their leader. Same time tomorrow. Meet at the usual place. Go! He held up his fist in a raised salute. The 5 figures melted into the dark, each taking a separate route. None of them looked back. The street was empty once more. The lamp that had been lit was extinguished, and its lighter, unable to see anything amiss, returned to bed. Time passed. The night passed. The sky lightened, dawn came, and the searching sun crept along the wall, feeling out the frail body, and the pool of blood, a crimson halo, bright as a poppy, on the frosty ground.